Hi, my reading friends. This is Sarah. I'm going to read the book Treetop Twins Adventures. The twins climb a Camarasaurus. Alfie and Asha, Tulip and Ted have their own time machine. They have traveled back to the land of the dinosaurs. Let's follow them on their adventure. Treetop Twins Adventures is written by Cressida, Cowell. The twins climb a Camarasaurus. Long, long ago, the sun shone down on the wild, wonderful world, and the volcanic swamps bubbled and steamed. The Treetop family, the first ever to invent a time machine, have traveled back to the land of the dinosaurs. In this adventure, the time machine has gone back 150 million years to the late Jurassic period, and the twins are in what is now the USA. You can see the time machine, it's there, and there are the dinosaurs roaming around. It was a sizzling day. The sun was shining brightly on the dry, dusty plains. Professor Penelope Treetop was in the middle of an exciting experiment. So she was staying in the tree house while Professor Pablo Treetop took the big twins, Alfie and Asha, and the little twins, Tulip and Ted, on an early morning expedition. They cycled happily for an hour or so until they found a large herd of dinosaurs lying fast asleep. I think these are Camarasaurus dinosaurs, said Asha, looking in her book. They got off their bikes and the twins stood next to the Camarasaurus, and Professor Pablo took photographs with his camera. How interesting, said Asha. These Camarasaurus have 5 toes on each foot and square heads, and they are huge. Should we be getting this close? Said Ted. Don't worry, said Professor Pablo. Camarasaurus are plant eaters, and these ones are asleep. However, just as the professor spoke, the Camarasaurus woke up, slowly getting to their feet and stretching out their long necks and shaking themselves a little and beginning to move away. Get back on your bikes, everyone, said Professor Pablo. We don't want any of these dinosaurs to accidentally tread on us. They are so huge. But before they could get back on their bikes, Tulip noticed a baby Camarasaurus who was still sleeping, and the herd was moving on without him. Oh dear, said Tulip. I'm worried that this little baby Camarasaurus is going to get left behind. Whatever should they do? Alfie had a great idea. Ted, why don't you climb on the baby Camarasaurus and give it a tickle behind its neck, and we'll shout in its ear at the same time. So Ted climbed on the baby Camarasaurus and tickled it behind the neck, and the big twins, Tulip and Professor Pablo, stood by its head and shouted, Wake up, baby Camarasaurus. Slowly, the baby Camarasaurus opened its eyes and got to its feet and began to move after the rest of the herd. Hooray, shouted Alfie, and then, uh-oh, said Professor Pablo. Ted, I think you need to get off. But Ted couldn't jump off while the Camarasaurus was moving. So the Camarasaurus wandered after the rest of the herd with Ted on its back. Oh dear, said Professor Pablo as they jumped on their bikes. Mummy isn't going to be pleased if we lose Ted. We'd better follow them. The herd of Camarasaurus walked slowly over the plains towards the distant mountains, making a loud noise, for they ate as they walked. The bikes followed slowly after them. You can see the bikes are made of stone and wood. How interesting, said Professor Pablo. I think they are heading for the mountains. It looks like these Camarasaurus migrate in the dry season to find food and water, just like modern plant eaters, such as wild beasts and caribou. Just before the herd reached the mountains, Professor Pablo cycled in front of the baby Camarasaurus and stopped the bike. So the baby Camarasaurus had to stop too. And when it stopped, Ted slid quickly down one of its back legs and they all rode home. I rode on the back of a Camarasaurus, said Ted, very overexcited. And I got some great photographs of Ted on the Camarasaurus back, said Asha. Maybe don't mention that or show the photographs to Mummy until she's finished her experiment, said Professor Pablo nervously, as he stopped in front of the treehouse. We were quite right to rescue the baby Camarasaurus, but we don't want to worry Mummy when she's busy. Have you had a good day? Said Professor Pablo. Wonderful, thank you, said Professor Penelope. What have you found out about dinosaurs today? We met some Camarasaurus and they were 3 times as tall as Daddy, said Asha. They make a lot of noise when they're eating, said Alfie. And they migrate in the dry season just like modern herbivores, such as wild beasts and caribou, said Professor Pablo. You have found out a lot. What about you, Ted? Asked Professor Penelope. You can't jump off them when they're moving, said Ted. Professor Penelope looked a little surprised. Night time long ago, in the time of the dinosaurs, the sky was sprinkled with stars. The hot plains were beginning to cool down in the dark night air. All the Treetop family were fast asleep. Well, nearly all. Tulip was gently shouting in Ted's ear and tickling his back. But Ted was so tired after his ride on the Camarasaurus, he didn't wake up. It's lucky you're not a baby Camarasaurus, Ted, or you could get left behind, said Tulip, and she fell asleep too. Real facts about dinosaurs. The Camarasaurus. They lived in the late Jurassic period, approximately 150 million years ago, in what is now known as the USA. They were herbivorous with sharp nipping teeth. They had 5 toes on each foot and a square head. They lived in herds and migrated to the mountains during the dry season, just like modern plant eaters such as wild beasts or caribou. Thank you.